Hi, this is Betgo. This is a Grinder School short. We're going to do a hand history review. This is a winning player. He's a regular, playing $7 and $16 18-mans. But he does make some mistakes, and so we're going to go over those. So that makes it kind of interesting. Well, some of these are interesting spots. Here, I think Ace Jack's pretty strong, and I don't totally know how this guy's been playing and everything, but you know, when a big stack does this, he may very well be calling you guys and folding to the other big stack. But I think Ace Jack's got to be pretty good versus range. Now there is a pretty big ICM with the three stacks pretty close, but I think you know your hand just is ahead of his range. You got a lot of fold equity. And so I'd shove here with Ace Jack. It was pretty close. I think I would shove this one also. Yeah, it's just a pretty strong hand. You got to pick up some chips, and you should have some. You know, people think you're pretty strong doing this. And you know, you have to shove. You're shoving here. You're shoving to the short stacks, and so if you shove in later position, you're shoving to the big stacks. So, you know, it's, again, in a tournament, you know, this would be an easy shove from earlier position. So I kind of feel like you can shove this. You're shoving a little tighter than you would in a tournament. This is horrendous. The other two plays are a little bit close. This is really bad. Yeah. Now some of these, you know, typical grinders too, they tend to be these real nitty grinders, and you know, no offense to my student, but you have to do something here because the blinds are so big, and this is a real quality hand, and you got like 5 big blinds, and so you have to pick up chips. You have to maintain fold equity. Plus, it's so profitable in terms of, you know, chip EV. And there certainly are big ICM factors and everything, but you can't just let yourself get blinded out. You got a quality hand here. You can't really wait any longer. So that's a pretty bad mistake. A lot of these things, I'm a little looser than they would be. You know, typical, as I say, a lot of grinders tend to be very tight. This is also a mistake. You just have to, you know, it's a little bit of kamikaze, but you really have to go with it. You have, you know, sort of a decent hand, and you got five and a half big blinds. So you have to pick up some chips. And again, you get better odds and all that. You know, if you pick up a big chunk of your stack, if you can steal less. So you just have to go with it. You can't get blinded down. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can't wait for a great hand or something like that. You know, just, you know, you have to go with what you have. You're not going to get anything that much more profitable. This is interesting. I think I would call this because I think that this guy's going to fold a lot to the shove in the big stack. In fact, he probably, you know, shouldn't be opening a lot in this situation if he's going to fold to the big stack, or should just shove. And, you know, there's only that one player there. He's worried about that one player, but he's giving him too much chance to take advantage of him. So it depends on the dynamics. I think the guy's playing. But here I think we may be getting the odds here to call. It's a pretty decent hand, and I'm not sure this Diego man or whatever he is that strong. And then I think Violent Tom's usually going to fold. Yeah, it's not a total disaster to play a three-way, but I think this might be a good spot here because you'd be getting really good pot odds because of Violent Tom folds, and not far, you know, behind the range of Diego man. It's kind of close, interesting spot. Looking at it over, it may be okay to fold, but it's a situation to look at. You know, that kind of situation. This is a mistake. You got like an average hand, and this guy's pushing A2 cards, and you're just so short. You can't just play for third. You want to pick up some chips, and I mean, you do have an ICM issue, but you're getting, the odds that you're getting. You're putting in 1,300 to win 21, 29, 31. So you're getting about 2.4 to 1. The odds aren't correct, but you got about an average hand, so it's just so profitable. Plus, like I said, you're going to be so short where you can fold the next one a bit in a small line and hope this other guy busts first. It's not really a good strategy. And then the next hand, your fold here is okay because you don't want to call here because you've got less than this guy does, and your hand's pretty junky. And if it goes three ways, you would bust out if this guy calls, which I expect he would. So it'd be really terrible for you to call here. But you would expect this guy to call. It's a pretty terrible fold because he's getting 5 to 1. He shouldn't be folding any hand there, and he does want to bust the other guy, so that's really awful. But this is also what happens where if you don't take the risk, you wind up being real short. Okay, again, we're sort of missing pushes. I mean, when we got 9 big blinds, you don't want to be pushing as light as otherwise, but it's just a very strong hand. And in a tournament, you could probably push this from early position for 9 big blinds, so in a full table. So, put from cutoff, I think this is sort of it's a pretty strong hand. So I'd go have with it. Here I think I push. This is one from this one. The stacks are very good because you have more chips in the later positions, and it's easier for people in later positions to call, but they can't call because they got more chips. And so the fact that these people are spaced out in chip stacks and all. Plus, you have a suited king, which is a fairly strong hand. So I think you want to make an attempt to sort of run over the field. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And you're just not going to get called very often from the big blind here or anything like that. And I just go over selected hands, things that I noticed when I did the review with the student and made notes of them. Some people try to go through the whole thing and everything, but I think that's kind of wasting your time. And not the way I do videos. This is, I think, a good call. The reason is you're about even versus a random hand, and this guy's a regular, so he's pushing any two, and you're the shortest stack, so there's very little ICM. A lot of people wouldn't make the call. It's pretty close. Here we have a loose mistake. Well, this is pretty bad because this is right on the bubble, and the big blind should always call this. You will see people folding there, but you're basically about the same. You're even versus a random hand, so your deuces are no better than whatever the guy has in the big blind. And plus, if you double the guy up, then your stack is lower. Plus, he gets more than he would get if he played against the big blind, because he's getting 900 from you, whereas he's only getting 300 from the big blind. Obviously, a small blind can play too. So there's really no sense in getting involved here as a shorter stack. So, and I think this guy made some mistakes with calling. He tended to be a little too tight with his pushes, and a little too loose with his calls. But this is not a good situation to get involved at all. Typically, I notice students will do that, though. They won't see the situations. Here we got shorter. No, I don't know if this guy's potting it all the time, but I think when he pots it here, I would let third pair go. You have Um, um, you have some outs. He might be 25%. If he's got a higher pair of something, he's honey dominated. But he certainly can have a draw or something. But you're not in that great shape to pick against a draw. You have just that low pair and everything. And he could hit a card that can get a higher pair as well as hitting the draw. So I wouldn't do this. I mean, he got a 3. It's like you got the lowest you could have to have anything. So, and have to have a read not to give a little more credit when he pots a pair. Okay, so that's it for this one. I think it's some really interesting material.